Hello and welcome. I'm Prashant Mudbidri here, Director Logix Info Security, with a very warm welcome to this afternoon for this session on Unified Zero Trust Workspace Security. Let's begin. This coin term of Unified Zero Trust Workspace seems very complicated. Let's try to make it very simple in terms of a user understandable language. Let's try to analyze what are the key challenges that any customer or any organization today is facing. Some of you would have mitigated these challenges, but most of them haven't. So let's begin with each of the challenges that a customer is facing. One, uh, everybody would want their user to log in from authorized device to their networks, to their applications, to their complete IT setup to a authorized device, isn't it? Why would anybody want to allow access from an unauthorized device? That's one problem statement most of the organizations today are grappling with. Second is when they are logging in, even to their Active Directory, which basically authenticates their domain, they would want a second factor authentication to be challenged so that that is the entry point into the entire IT setup. So that itself has to be safeguarded using a second factor authentication. Third, once the user is logged in, obviously you would want to enforce policies, simple policies like USB block, or maybe not allowing the user to install or uninstall any applications, or having standard screensavers, splash screens. More importantly, most of you today have adopted either Office 65 or G Suite or maybe even Zoho as their uh, productivity application. But the fact remains that you haven't been able to force them to store data on their only their OneDrive or their Google Drives. They still have the liberty to store data on their local C drive, D drive, which makes it's a vulnerability point. So you would want to force them to store the data on the C drives and D drive, not to store the data on C drive, D drive, but to store the data on Google Drive or OneDrive. If you have a on-premise server, a NAS server, where you would want the user to store data, then that also should be enforced and not allow local access to the local machine. One of the other problems that customers are facing is they have host of applications, ERP, CRM, HR application, and other productivity application. I believe each application for a business to run will require minimum of 10 to 15 applications to run. Now, these applications have to be integrated with their Active Directory so that you don't have to manage users separately on each of the applications. So, single sign-on is something which is a must-have. Apart from that, the data that you are allowing to access, the user to access the data, once it is already accessed, he should be not allowed to share that data with his personal, because he's going to access the data from his mobile device also. So he should not be allowed to share that data on his personal apps. Or if he reports a loss of his device, IT should be able to wipe out that device or control the entire data and the applications hosted on that device. This could be also, to a limited extent, also extend to the Windows machines also. Now, before we dive into the demonstration or the entire concept of unified zero trust workspace, I would want you to do a small exercise, and I'll do it myself. We have put up a complete demo setup, and which I am not a part of. My machine is not a part of that setup. So I have been challenged that this is the Office 65 OA Outlook login, and I have been given the username password. I am challenged to open this username password through the browser. Let me just access this. I'm copying this. I have it in my notepad. So this is my username. First, I open the URL. The URL. So I'm challenged here, asking for the username. I'm posting the username. It's taking me to a It's redirecting me somewhere, and it has blocked me. If you see that, I have not even got access to to the Office 65 portal. Likewise, let me also try to access, say, application. I'm using a different browser so that the caching should not kick in. I'm using another browser and I'm trying to log into a SharePoint application. Here also, it is challenging with a username. Let me post in the username. It is the same username. It is again challenging with a username. It's pop-up blocker. So, yes. Shall I do it in the same browser again? Okay. Here also, I got blocked. The moral of what I wanted to show you is that because my device is not enrolled, because I am sort of emulating an attacker, I'm trying to access the corporate applications from an unauthorized device. My access is totally restricted. Do you agree? Just go through one scenario what like most of the organizations face. That is basically this is the typical topology of any organization. You have users accessing from your head office. You have users accessing from your branch offices. You have users from roaming or remote users or roaming users. And these users who are accessing from head office or branch offices, these also tend to work during non-working hours uh, from their residence or from their where they are, and they technically are treated as roaming users. Now, these users, so there will be a lot of back and forth on these user groups. What are they accessing predominantly? Your Active Directory, your productivity tools, your ERP, your CRM, your HR application, and other productivity tools, right? This is what they access. Now, what I have showcased you in the demonstration was that how I am blocking unauthorized access, how we are establishing control over the device that will be displayed during this demonstration, and how do we fend off any kind of attacks that are coming onto this environment of yours. Now, this is established using a private access to your entire environment, including your Active Directory. It includes authentication, multi-factor authentication, conditional access, and all GPU policies that AD can basically enforce on the user. Yes, we understand that this environment doesn't complete your IT setup because your users are also accessing the public internet. Governing the public internet and giving them secure access to internet is a separate topic by itself. That is not covered in this part of our presentation. We are only covering how do we basically take care of the secure access to your IT resources. So with this context being set, now I hand it over to my colleague Abhay so that he can run through the entire how the setup is being basically bring benefits to to your organization, and how we'll demonstrate each of the use cases. Now over to you, Abhay.
Yeah. So, as Prashant was explaining to you all about the basically attack surface, and we already went through kind of a small question answer session where everybody accepted this scenario that the more the basically your small attack surface, you will be more protected. So as we mentioned earlier, that the more you control your attack surface, there are very less chances or very minimal chances that you will be get exposed or will be vulnerable to get any kind of a attack or somebody's try to hack in, and subsequently your system will get protected. So going further, when we talk about today's scenario, so today's, as you've seen, the attacks are getting evolving day in, day out. We have seen so many cases, and we have been ourselves also, many of you might have already experienced this kind of situation of their own, or you must have seen also or read also in the newspaper. So typically, these attacks are actually coming from the various ways. The ways could be, the first is the identity, where user might be basically get compromised. Somebody is trying to basically steal the credentials, or somebody is trying to share the credentials, and people are basically getting hacked, or their system is getting compromised. Then there could be device. That device could be your mobile or laptop. Today we have seen many scenarios that machines are getting compromised through the network, and somebody gets in, and with the help of leaked credential, they are inside, and they basically steal the information. And subsequently, when they get inside, they automatically gain the access of the applications which is there installed, or which is being allowed from that particular device to access from network. Then third is, if you got basically both these particular scenarios covered, then if somebody get inside the network and is able to gain the access by means of the existing setup, which could be currently being managed through a user repository like Active Directory, which is more or less today 95% of the organizations are using Active Directory as their basically user repository to connect or manage their application in the setup. And if it is not protected, and again, the same situation, that if they is the basically hacker is able to gain the access by getting inside, and subsequently collect it using that particular credential, and then once he get inside through the Active Directory, then he automatically get all the application access, and that data is again at the mercy of the hacker, and your data might be again get stolen from there. And then finally, the application. So if all these three things are basically getting compromised, the subsequent application will be remain basically susceptible to the any of the attack. People may get the access of that particular application. They can do any harm to you. They can basically steal the information. They may delete the data. They may stop your basically activity, and your entire operation come to cease. So this is typically the a small scope of, I would say, not small, but it's actually the main scope of the day-to-day, whatever the organization today is facing, or they are using this particular kind of elements in their day-to-day activity. These are always remain exposed, and there are very bright chances, if the security is not in place, they will be get hacked, or there will be theft of the data. So subsequently, these are the main element of your basically the exposure which normally getting compromised. So what is the basically solution to protect them? So as we have discussed this particular thing, so the solution what we are, those basically security framework which we are today suggesting to the our customer, or basically in this webinar also we are touching base to the same concept. So the whole purpose is, these are the four basically surfaces which we actually went through, and these are the areas which we want to basically protect. So what are the ways to do so? So when you talk about identity, that's a user. So if you want to protect user, you can always go to the identity management and integration. You will have a conditional access, so that user's credentials can be subsequently managed, and you can with the identity management, you can very much have the MFA in place, so that user anybody's try to, even though he had the basically gain the access, he won't be able to go further, because the MFA basically block him to move further. On the device side, of course, once we have a device, so whenever we protect device, so device not just something which can be protected individually. So if the device is part of this particular security framework, and when we map that specific user to that device, then we are ensuring that particular device which has been mapped to that specific user will be again get enrolled to a particular security framework, where with that particular combination, then only that particular access will be allowed. So what we are trying to basically explain here is, whenever such kind of a devices which is trying to connect to our framework, that at that point of time, that device need to be enrolled. it has to be basically mapped to the specific user, and then that particular user or along with that particular device will be allowed. Then only that device with that user will be able to connect to particular network or to that particular basically Active Directory, and then only he'll be basically allowed to further access. So with this particular scenario, we're talking about posture management here, so that we will have that device has been basically allowed in the certain conditions only, and that condition could be basically many, that there are multiple basically compliances we can set up, like you can have specific MAC ID, or you can have a basically specific Windows version, or could be your EDR version there, or you may have a geo tagging also, so geolocation tagging also. So based on the particular, then you can also have a specific network location also. So with this kind of a situation, we can very much ensuring that this particular device should come the compliances with those many of parameters, then only you'll be allowed. So this is basically this particular scenario we are very much offering in our existing security framework. Then coming to the next part, which we just discussed about domain join. So today we are the very few companies in the market who provides basically Active Directory domain join using multi-factor authentication. Typically, as you've seen that traditionally Active Directory connectivities, whenever people are they have been challenged with the credentials. Those credentials just login and password, and he basically gets inside. And once he gets inside, he get the application access. Now, as many of you might already knowing this thing, that whenever Windows basically whenever you try to do the domain join, once you do the connectivity, then that particular passwords are getting cached, and basically people are able to make the connectivity. So this is where the challenge arises. So in this situation, we are also adding the layer of multi-factor, that basically multi-factor ensure that only specific device will be only allowed to go through that particular layer, and he will be basically challenged for the second factor. And then second factor will only basically after entering that details, he'll be able to connect and he'll be able to do domain join. So this particular scenario will ensure that whatever the particular device which we already protected with the we have basically compliances and posture management, whatever the user who has been basically part of that specifically conditional access identity management, only he along with that device will be able to join, plus by adding further MFA layer where it ensure one more layer of protection, so that we will ensure it's basically very strong case of a very basically perfect way of basically accessing your basically Active Directory, so that whenever anybody domain join, he'll be able to get inside. Then application. So as soon as you go to once you do the domain join, automatically the next part comes to the application. So application will be added for the purpose of one more similar layer of multi-factor authentication, because the application also can be a part of that same identity management. So anybody try to basically do the connectivity to that application, he will be able to again challenge for the second factor. So that as you see, the whole process is basically adding multiple controls and multiple layer for the every basically step of that particular access of the application. And so by the time we reach to the application, you will be ensuring that unless that entire basically scenario has been fulfilled, user, device, then domain join, and every basically part of the security has been entered, or every basically challenge has been through, then only he'll be allowed to access that particular application. Otherwise, he won't be allowed to the application, and he get the same mirror what Prashant has seen in past. So this is what we are offering as a part of our comprehensive security framework. But now we would like to basically take you through the actual demonstration, because this is what we discussed. But when you actually see by your own eyes, so you will actually experience how this is going to happen. So now I'm calling upon my colleague Neeraj to basically share his screen, and he will showcase you how we are going to do this particular domain join with the two-factor, and then subsequently how we basically allow the Office 365 application and the SharePoint additional
Yeah,
application.
Amay, you can basically show each use case one by
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So now I'm just going to the first use case of domain joining, because that is the one of the main use case today for most of the so basically customers, as domain is Active Directory is the basically integrated part of every network. So I'm being now calling upon Neeraj to basically start that. He- Neeraj, can you just share your screen, please?
So this is the basically the welcome screen when user tries to log in or start boot up the device. This screen comes up, and after that they'll be putting the username and password.
He, please note that he is using the same username password which I originally used from my unauthorized device. He is using it from an authorized device.
Yeah. So as the whole use case here, which I just now explained, like with this particular security framework in place, so this is basically the user, which is a part of the Active Directory, and that particular
Yes.
device which has been enrolled. Okay, so now he- trusted user who is being now attempting to connect this particular Active Directory, and he will make the login through that. And at that particular level, he also been challenged with the second factor, which you just now showcased. With that particular second factor, he'll be able to basically enter and logged in and gain the access of your Active Directory with particularly his own Windows desktop will become in front of us.
Peanut screen is not visible.
Yeah, Neeraj, sorry, your
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, I'm sharing this.
There was one question posted by Mr. Sivakumar, that is MFA and SSO available only for Azure AD or even for on-premise Active Directory? So the answer is yes, we can make it available for on-premise AD as well. We are actually promoting AD on Azure and not Azure AD here. AD on Azure basically is gives multiple benefits to the customer, because first biggest benefit that he gets is that they don't have to pay for uh, CAL license, which is a massive benefit. But you still derive all the other benefits of Active Directory by hosting AD on Azure. Please take a note that this is not a single solution. We are not only promoting AD on Azure, it's a combination of multiple solutions. So that's why we wanted to focus on the use cases and the problem sets so that you can relate to what we can achieve. We once we you have taken a grasp of what we can achieve, then we can have a one-to-one discussion about how we achieve that. What are the ingredients required? What are the components required? Neeraj's screen is visible. Would you like to please also respond to the questions and voice it out to the audience so that they get responses to the questions that they have been posting?
Yeah. Okay, so there is a question from Mr. Jaideep Waghela. Share the prerequisite to achieve anticipated deliverables. So, of course, as I mentioned by Prashant, this is not a single solution. This is a multiple, it's a group of solution. So, typical deliverables will be basically given as a part of the entire solution whenever we actually meet you in person or when my salesperson will be discussed. But it's not many. So many means when you talk about what are the areas of basically scenario you want to basically achieve, and accordingly we can provide a deliverables for your requirement. So if you're looking for entire basically suite of like user, device, Active Directory, and application, so those deliverables. So if as I shown in the previous slide, so these are the four basically surface areas. So the deliverables will be basically based upon that, and those will be the provided accordingly.
Neeraj, if you are ready, you can just share your screen and showcase the login.
Yes, sir, I'm sharing.
Why
Yeah,
you are muted?
yeah. So, okay. So as we were showcasing earlier, so this was basically near a screen where he's tried to connect through the Active Directory login screen, and he has been now challenged for the second factor. He has used the basically using the author, so he's been using the application, and now he has entered that particular code here.
So as we have shared the password in panel, so I guess everyone is trying, so it's getting locked.
Actually, what we have done is that we wanted everyone to try.
No, no, no,
We
no.
No, no, with the wrong password they're trying. It's
Yeah.
getting locked.
So
Right.
all audience not to try for so much. We didn't anticipate this much of a situation that people will be trying and that account will be getting locked. So we could request not to try so that
Yes,
we
sir.
can go and proceed with the demonstration.
That's right. I will unlock it from the admin side.
Please unlock it and then
Yes.
is there any other user?
Yeah, I will try with the other users.
Yeah, please try with another user because then that becomes. Uh, is MFA must for all trusted users? It's not a must, but yes, it would definitely enhance your security posture. It will be recommended to enforce MFA for all users so that even if there is a it will then basically give you additional layer of security. There was another question there with this we as I told we are promoting the Azure on AD, but there was one post saying that due to regulatory compliance we may not be able to host AD on Azure. So even if your AD is on premise, we can still achieve the same what we are right now demonstrating.
the
Abhay,
one question that will this solution replace VPN connection specifically for remote user? Yes. So the question is yes. The answer is yes. Uh, so yes, it's a replacement of VPN connection. Not necessarily for specifically remote user, but for any user. Uh, but if the VPN is being used only for the remote, then because today every user is remote user because the people work at home and then they again go back to the sorry work either they work from home or they work from office also and even they go back to home they become remote. So in the whole situation they will be allowed to access and they will also experience the same experience within office and out of office in the both the way and the same security posture will be continued even in the office and out of office with this solution.
more question was,
Yeah,
will this setup support both work from office and work from home users? The answer is yes, it will support both the type of users. A lot of questions regarding prerequisites. Prerequisites, we will have to understand your present environment in terms of what Windows operating system are you using, what kind of applications are you using, and then we'll suggest you what are the prerequisites for establishing this entire environment.
I'm able to log in now.
yeah. So now he has logged in inside in his basically laptop. And now you can see he has got some predefined screen which is basically forced through this uh, particular this framework. So now he has logged in inside his domain. So Neeraj, can you just showcase the domain to all so that we can ensure that we are inside the actually the Active Directory, connected to the Active Directory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is basically the test domain we have created, and this is what the local which is connected. So now this is the basically trusted and enrolled device for this O65 access user only. So these both are now has been basically been given the allowed the access and they are basically the restricted user for the allowing to access to specific application. As Prashant was trying to do so, or many of you try to do so, where you face this particular error. So now the same application of Office 65, which was earlier providing giving the error to Prashant, now he will be able to showcase that he will be able to access from this particular machine and he is going to get a direct access of that particular mailbox.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So he is now basically connecting this particular agent, which is allowing him to
That
connect to
ID,
the setup. Yeah, yeah. So
sorry,
now once again,
that ID got blocked, so that's why the connection got resetted. So we have to connect it again
yeah.
once in this login.
So as he's basically connecting to this, now he is really connected to this particular framework, and now this framework is up. So now, as I was mentioning, that whenever anybody is connecting to Square setup, he has to be part of that framework. Now this framework come from this particular agent only, and at the moment you enter that, basically have that agent connected, which is the automatic. The moment you basically start your machine, that agent makes the connection to the framework directly, and then after you already part of that particular policies, he will be already enrolled and registered. Then only all the applications or that AD joining or any further application access will be allowed to him. So now, as he showcased to him, the moment he basically connect to that framework, his access to Outlook online, basically Exchange Online is went through. Now he is able to access the Office 65 mailbox, as the which was the same was not earlier able to access by person because his machine was not registered and actually the user was not tagged to him. So now coming back to the same scenario, as this is one of the application of Office 65, which is where the mailbox is where he is able to access. Similarly, now he's going to showcase the SharePoint also. SharePoint another application. So this is just a test site. So nothing beyond this you want to see. The purpose of showcasing the same, that Office 65 is one application, Mailbox is one app, Exchange Online with one application, SharePoint another application. Similarly, you have many other applications which was showcased in the earlier site. You can have your CRM, or could be your ERP, or could be the HRMS, or maybe many other basically applications also, which is if it is integrated with this particular security framework, so they will be able to allow the access with the specific policies, and the purpose or the basis of that same is that user, device, location. So whichever basically posture we set for those particular device or for that particular user, then they will be able to access that. Otherwise, anybody who is not part of that particular allowed framework, they won't be allowed. They will always get error. So by doing so, we are ensuring the situation scenario that if you are going to have secured access from the specific allowed devices, then only you will be considered a trusted user. Otherwise, anyone else who is try to be you, try to get still your credential from somewhere and try to connect from somewhere. But since his machine is not registered or is not trusted, he won't be get that user directly. Yeah. So now coming to the next use case. Yeah. So as we've seen the first use case where we shown that how the domain join happen with the specific criteria. Particularly, we have also showcased the second app, basically use case where we have showcased how to access the specific Office 65 and SharePoint as application. And as I mentioned, similar Android device and from the authorized user, we are able to access that. Now come to the third use case, which is basically a very close to the heart of everybody, at least those people from IT who is using Active Directory in their organization. So most of the Active Directories today are either going with some minimal control or normally just being used for the authentication, access of application and max to max file, basically server access kind of situation. But access as an Active Directory, there are many controls or security controls are available, which many times for whatever reason may not be basically deployed. But with this particular the security framework, we have included that also part of the same offering. So where we typically basically provide users with the multiple group policies, and these are not the standard group policies. This, as many of you might be aware, that standard group policies like password protect, basically password policies, or USB block, or could be the basically the screensavers. So those are already there. But on top of it, there is very unique and very basically like to have kind of a requirement by many organizations. But not being basically deployed by many organizations is that how to control the data. Because today what happens, all the major pain point for the most of the IT admins or the organization, that users are basically saving their data in the respective local machines, and then controlling that data is a basically major pain. And from the compliance point of view, also sometimes happens if something happened to that particular endpoint machine or something, then how to basically recover, because you may be having the backup or not having the backup. So in the whole scenario, uh, from the security perspective also, because if it is being saved in the local machine, then there are chances that data might get basically shared, or there could be some pilferage happen at user end also, knowingly, unknowingly, and not necessary that it is a known scenario. So going that with that particular scenario, we'll just showcasing how we are controlling that data. So what is the objective here is we'll be ensuring that we'll force user to share that particular data in the specific location only. So I'll ask my again colleague Neeraj to basically share his screen to showcase how we do that.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Yeah. So here the scenario is that whenever somebody wants to save today, when you want to save the data, typically it gets saved in the local drive. But here we have ensured now here in this scenario, what we did is we have got a OneDrive as a basically cloud storage available, and we are basically forcing my user to save the data in OneDrive only. Other than OneDrive, he won't be allowed to save anywhere else. This is not necessary if somebody do not have Office 65, no problem. If they may have some other cloud storage, or they may have some dedicated storage available separately in their data center. So same policy can be applied to that also. But whole objective of this, that I am ensuring that data should be available and controlled by the IT only, so that that data cannot be just saved locally and cannot be controlled. So now he's showcasing you basically that he has created one worksheet, and he's tried to save in the any other place. So download is something different on the local place. So he's tried to save that. Now he's getting this particular error that location is blocked by your system admin. So that means we are not allowing him to basically save that particular file in the other than OneDrive, because OneDrive is in the forced location. Okay. Now just showcase that same is allowed to save in the OneDrive also. So he's able to save that file in the OneDrive. So by doing so, what we are trying to achieve here is that it will be available in OneDrive, which is a more basically controlled environment, more secure environment, and most importantly, it
Right.
is managed
Can
by the.
can we
Yeah,
also run through the next use cases because we already
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
sort
So
of time we
this
have
is, yeah,
been setting
yeah,
up here.
yeah. So so from that point of view, we are ensuring that data won't be get pilfered either. Yeah. So going to the now next use case. Now, finally, we reach to the fourth use case, which is also a very important use case, and which has been now uh, being required by most of the organization. Because as we discussed till date was talked about how to basically control the access, how we manage the basically the sharing the data, or how we basically save the data so that data cannot be basically to go anywhere or steal by anybody. So now the last but very important part is how we basically ensure that whenever as a part of the same security framework, now when we put this particular scenario for the basically endpoint. So typically today what happens, most of the people using the mainly our handsets, mobile handsets. And now, so mobile handsets, so there are a lot of basically company data is being used, because a lot of the mobile application is being accessed through the mobile handsets now, and that data is typically is get mingled up with the existing handset also, because it's most of the cases of BYOD. So to ensure that such kind of a data won't get basically mingled up with any of the existing data, so this particular security framework is also basically giving the additional control, where we create a kind of a logical differentiation between the your personal and basically organization data. And whenever we have this particular security framework engine installed, and those particular devices enrolled and controlled, so we ensure that particular device data is cannot be basically accessed or cannot be shared between the two different basically containers, like one is being the work, other being the personal. So I'm just basically asking my colleague Bharat to showcase this particular demonstration so that you will actually experience how this particular thing happen. So Bharat, can you
Uh,
just share your?
yeah, thank you, sir. Uh, Hello, I'm just sharing my screen. So,
So here we have actually tried to showcase the remote of one of the basically handset, so that he's showcasing that he has created basically two container here, one being personal, other being work here. So, so he has got application in work. So
these are the applications where we can centrally managed and controlled. Uh, if I'm opening any such application like Outlook, and I'm trying to download any attachment in my local device, the attachment is saved in my local device on local storage. When I'm trying, when I'm opening this, trying to open the attachment from the personal storage, from my personal container, or trying to share it to the any external user, you can see in the work profile, it will see user won't be allowed to share those files or to see those files which we have downloaded in the work container.
So here it is quite obvious that your data, which is in work, which is basically owned by your organization, or so it's a basically from the confidentiality point of view and from the uh, organization compliances purpose, that data is not allowed to basically share anywhere else other than the organization given application only. So that even though he is tried to basically save it or share it on WhatsApp application, which is actually running in his personal folder, personal basically part of the his basically mobile phone, that subsequent data cannot be shared there, and he cannot be basically neither saving that particular data in the different folder which is available in personal part of that particular mobile. So this particular scenario is also applicable typically on your mobile, that is an Android, on the iOS, on your tablet also. Similarly, uh, not all security control like this, but many of the security control is also applicable through your Windows laptop, desktop also. But on the laptop, desktop, they are merely more from the basically it's a laptop management or the basically OS management or data management point of view they work. But the main area of concern, which is the mobile, because which is the nowadays being used heavily by most of the organization. So that is where the data proliferation has got a highest chances, wherein that laptop, that desktop can be always controlled through various other control of network or DLP. But in this particular scenario, with the mobility, we can clear cut have a basically mandate to have keep data secured within the basically company allowed application only, which we achieve with this particular security framework. So finally, as we have seen this particular four use cases, sorry for the in-between challenges we face on our existing setup, but more or less we have showcased what we actually try to achieve with this particular security framework. This where we, as we again coming back to the same principle, it's a user, it's a device, and with that particular combination of user and device we have multiple basically policies in place and controls in place and posture is being managed, which subsequently allowed to do many things for the from the point of your access that pertaining to your applications or your domain join. Similarly, the same kind of a security framework will help you to do kind of a integration with your network devices also, because this is a basically a common platform what we are offering, where we are not just basically integrating your user credentials uh, point of view, but they also can have a similar credential can be extended to your network device also. So this is what we can offer with this particular.
Abhay,
Yeah,
there are questions and answers posted. We have
yeah.
come to the end of the demonstration now. So you can pick up some certain questions. Uh, in the interest of time, maybe we will not be able to address all the questions in this session, but we'll take it up one-on-one when we have a session with the
Yes.
customers.
Okay. So I will take few. There is one question. Yeah, sorry. I think this is MDM Microsoft E3 license. On the answer to the Microsoft as a product, no. But yes, this is basically part of our framework, and this is basically MDM there, but not basically Microsoft E3. Uh,
One thing that I would like to add, there are Microsoft independently can definitely address all what we showcased, but at least 10x cost of what we are trying to do it in a minimal cost. So the whole objective is how can we achieve all this that we showcased at a minimal cost rather than spending something exorbitant on it. And there are customers who are using hybrid environment where part of the users are on Office 65, part of the users are on non-Office 65. In those scenarios also, this framework will work. So it is agnostic and it will be working with every type of organizations and every size of organization. Yeah. Let's
Can we
take some
apply?
questions.
Yeah, can we apply geofencing? Yes. The question answer is yes. You can apply geofencing for the access point of view. You can allow the access from the specific geolocation, and so we can set up those kind of a parameters. And if you basically get out of that area, then that access is blocked. When you come in that particular, then only
Okay.
that access will be allowed.
Okay, I think, sir, we are out of time. It's been long that the call is extended. We'll move to the last part before we conclude this presentation. I'm just posting a final poll so that we could hear from you. Uh, we would be happy to connect with you. I hope my poll is visible. Sorry, the entire call got extended due to some kind of a technical glitch, but I hope the session was good enough. We covered most of the components when we were talking about unified zero trust workspace security. We are open for your feedback. Please do write to us. Okay. I think, Prashant sir, will conclude the call. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session. Thank you for taking the time and being part of this session.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Hope it was informative.
Thank you all.
Thank you.